Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Unorthodox Vegan. My name is Sean Gold and today my cookie jar is empty. I need to fill it up. We've made a couple of types of cookies before. We did an oatmeal raisin cookie. We've done a peanut butter cookie, but I haven't done for you, gingerbread cookie. So I'm going to do a ginger cookie, a ginger snap, whatever you want to call it. So that's what I have here. I'm going to prepare that today. We got all the ingredients. I have a bowl for mixing. I have some brown sugar because you can't do it without brown sugar. I'm going to use a combination of vegan margarine and coconut oil. The coconut oil tends to keep its shape, and while the vegan margarine tends to soften it, and I wanted to have it somewhere in between. So I'm going to use mostly the vegan margarine to handle that, and then make up the difference with some coconut oil just to give it a little bit of firmness to it. And I've got flour. Instead of molasses, I'll be using some maple syrup, some baking soda to help it rise, some vanilla for flavoring, a little salt to help with the baking soda. Of course, we've got powdered ginger. Can't do ginger snaps without ginger. And I have a little bit of nutmeg. And I think that's all I've got. Got my mixer, got everything ready. So let's start. I'm going to just be putting in the brown sugar and the margarine and the coconut oil, and I'll be mixing that together. And I'm doing that with a blender, and then I'll be adding in the flour and stuff. But let me just get that stuff sort of sorted out. Be back in a moment. As you can see, I've already mixed in the about 1 cup, about a half cup of the margarine and about a half cup of the coconut oil with a cup and a half of firm, kind of packed brown sugar. So that's all in there already. I'll be now adding in a half cup of molasses, but I'll be using the maple syrup instead. I'll be dumping that in. And I'll be putting in some vanilla as well. So I'll be putting that in as well. It's got a lot of sugar. My wife doesn't like the sugar too much. She's a diabetic, so I have to be careful about putting in too much sugar. And I'll be putting in a tablespoon of vanilla extract. And this just gives it a nice overall flavor. And then I'll be mixing this again to getting that in there before I put in the flour. So, tablespoon of vanilla extract at a half cup of I put in maple syrup. Still got more in there, so let's get all that in there. Let's get all of the good stuff in there that we can. And then we'll mix this around. And I'll be back in a moment so you don't have to watch all this. Okay, I'm going to be putting in 2 cups of flour, all-purpose flour. Let's get that. 1. And 2 cups of flour. I'll also be putting in a tablespoon of baking soda and a half teaspoon of salt. So I'll be sprinkling that in, getting that in there, half teaspoon of salt. I'll be mixing this together. Whoops, way too much salt. Way too much salt. Let's get that. Okay, half teaspoon of salt. And I also forgot, but I'm going to put it in before I start mixing up, a tablespoon of ginger. And I didn't catch this earlier, but there's a cinnamon in here, so I forgot about that. A tablespoon of cinnamon as well. So a tablespoon of ginger, obviously for a ginger snap, that's what you need. Tablespoon of cinnamon. So I got that, and a half teaspoon of, let's go with a half teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm going to get that in there as well. And then I'm going to mix it all up, and then I'll be back. Okay, I've got that all mixed up. I put in 2 cups of flour at the beginning. Now I'm going to put in another cup and a quarter. I put in another cup and a quarter of flour, and that's going to get it to the consistency I need. This is going to get a little thick, pretty thick, and so it's going to make a little bit of noise, and I may have to roll it out a little bit by hand. But I'm going to be doing that with a mixer, and then this is going to be the right consistency. That's the last thing that goes in. I roll it up into balls, and we'll put it in the oven. But I'll be back in a minute when you see how to do that. Now, this is the fun part. This is where you get to actually roll the dough into little balls to make the cookies, and that's really simple. So that's what we're going to do is just take out a certain amount, maybe a tablespoon, a little tablespoon and a half, whatever the right size is that you want, and you can make yourself a cookie. So just roll it into a ball, and put that down there, and away you go. Now, what the recipe calls for, this recipe, this was a Nora Cook's. Yeah, from Nora Cook's, a vegan gingerbread cookie from Nora Cook's. She recommends rolling these into some sugar. Now, as I said before, many times I've said that my wife is diabetic, so she doesn't really want the sugar any more than what's already in there. So she doesn't really care for that. But what you can do, you don't have to make them all sugar. You can make some that are not sugar, but you can also make the ones that are sugar. And to do that, you could put some sugar on the counter, whatever you're using for it. I have this glass plate that I'm using here. Put a little sugar on that, and it's going to spread it out a little bit. And just take the cookie balls, dough balls. It's going to get the right size. Make sure I get that about right, and get that squeezed back together again. And then we're just going to roll it in the sugar. And you'll note it right away when you're cooking it, and to feel it, you'll get to see that has that nice sugar coating on it. So we'll have the ones with sugar coating on it and the ones without. Well, that's how you're going to do it. And you can pre-roll some of these, make all the balls first, and then roll the ones that you want to roll and in the sugar if you want to do that. That way you don't have too much more sugar into the ones that you don't want to have sugar. But that's really is what it comes down to, just rolling them into the sugar mix. And I'm just going to flatten them out a little bit and put them onto the cookie tray, the baking tray, and that's going to go in the oven. I'm going to finish making these up, throw them in the oven, 350 degrees, for probably 10 to 15 minutes, somewhere around 12 and a half minutes when they look about right. So I'll take them out. Well, I've taken them out of the oven. They were baking. I finished making the balls, obviously. I took them, put them in the oven for 15 minutes, 13 minutes, whatever it was. Maybe it was 12, whatever it was. And they're just cooling down now. I've taken them out, transferred them off the cookie sheets onto the cooling trays. I've got my cookie tin ready to go. Just want to do a taste test. They have to cool down a little bit more, but I want to do a taste test first. And I have not done a taste test yet. So let's just do a taste test. Found one that was a little broken. They are soft still because they're hot. And they will firm up. They will get crunchy. And they will get nice and crispy. Just the right flavor and texture. And by the way, I do have, just to point out, all of these ones have sugar that they're coated in. The other ones are not. So my wife has lots to choose from that don't have sugar. So hopefully this will make her happy. Let's do a taste test here. Again, it's not going to be the crunch that I want until they cool down, but I want to do a taste test anyway. Oh, that is such a nice flavor. The nutmeg is coming through. Obviously, it's the ginger, but the nutmeg, vanilla, the cinnamon, all of that you can taste in there. But they're just a lovely, nice and sweet. They're starting to firm up. They got a little bit of a crunch to them, but I want them to be a lot more crunchier. I want these to be crispy. So they do need to cool down. Once they've done that, the kids will love them, grandkids will love them, my wife will love them, and it's a great little treat. Simple and easy to make. 15 minutes of baking, probably about 20 minutes prep time. So that's it. That's it for this episode of The Unorthodox Vegan. This is episode 37, and we have made ginger cookies. If you'd like more information, you can always contact me on my email address up here at vrcompanions@gmail.com. And please follow me on my YouTube channel. That's www.youtube.com/@the_unorthodox_vegan. Until next time, have yourself a great day. Bye for now.